locomotive here that I found. I bought a bunch of freight cars and it came with it. So this, it doesn't say what the manufacturer is. I figure probably it's a MRC and it's very old, and I don't necessarily recommend you buying this. So to me, maybe I paid $5 for it, and it's gonna run though, and I've been curious for a while how good I can make this run. So it's an RSD15. I'm gonna go see on the track how it runs now. So guaranteed it's gonna run. Probably just cleaning the wheels would do it a lot of good, but I've always been curious to see if I optimize everything, how good I can get this to run. So definitely needs a lot of help. So to get them out, you can spot these because there's 4 holes in the car body that hold it to the frames. They're easy to spot. And the cab can also be removed like that. Oftentimes they get altogether lost. I'm very lucky I have this. It's good stuff. So you can start by removing the shell. Just use the pins to get to it. So there's 4 of them, 2 on each side. And it's not that hard to get to actually. So I'll keep doing this off camera. So once you have your pins loosened, it should come right out. There's counterweights in the body. So I have 2 counterweights. This one sits in the cab. And then the shell is actually, it's not too fancy, but that's the way they were made, I guess. I don't plan spending too much time on the shell. I just want to see how good I can make it run. So the motor's kind of small actually for what it would need, but that's the way they were. Also, this is wired, so I cannot remove the trucks completely because they're soldered in there. But I'm going to push this pin here. That will give me just a little bit of slack, enough to get in there and clean the wheels. Just find my little screwdriver, and I can just push this in very gently. Started to go. I'll try it from the other side, because you do want to be gentle with these. They're not indestructible. Far from it. There. So that's definitely gonna get some lubrication. And what I do is I wiggle the side frames out of it. So I can't go very far, but it gives me just enough slack to wiggle my side frames out. Actually, I'm going to start it from this end. I wiggle it down starting from this end. That shouldn't give you too much resistance, but for sure it's going to give you a little bit. There. Now I got it loose. I can wiggle it out. Now I have access to my wheels to lubricate them. So these are just pressed on there. So I get under them with my screwdriver. I gently push them out. There. This little guy here should have traction tires. Here, I'll give you a close-up of this. It should have a traction tire. What I'm going to do is I'm going to reach in my box of parts to find one that doesn't need a traction tire, so I can have just a little bit better electrical pickup. Yugoslavia. I guess they made the Atlas engines there too, for HO scale. See now, while I was moving it around, this little guy fell off. So this is bad because I have to get in there and re-solder it. I have to get my soldering gun out, and that's a pain. But that's probably why it had terrible electrical pickup. So I'm gonna have to do that. It has to be off of this, because if you solder it on this, it will melt the plastic and then you're buggered. Although it's not a very valuable locomotive, I think I could get it going. So I'm gonna get my soldering gun out. Now I removed the bottom weight. That's gonna give me just a little bit better, maybe just a little bit more leeway for my wire. I can stretch it out just a little bit. That'll give me a chance to have a little bit more space to weld it in. Now this is a real pain and I hate doing this. And I put my soldering iron away, but I didn't put it too far away because I might have to do this again for the front one. So I'm gonna clean the wheels now. So I just use my normal technique where I come in with my rag and I clean it right to the flange. So I clean it up like this. It's not too dirty. That's gonna come out now nice. So I'll do the other 6 off camera. So I found some replacement wheels for the wheels that needed the traction tire. They're from a Lifelike GP38-2. And while I have my gearbox in my hands, I'm going to open it. I probably get some lubrication in there. This should come right out nice and easy. Here we go. So that's gonna get cleaned with my toothbrush and some soap and some water, and then we'll do some proper lubrication. You could put the lubrication on the gears, but to me it's just as easy just to come in and do it in the gearbox. So you just need a drop. That's all you need. And then you can start putting your axles back in. And there's a big gear that goes up on here. I'm gonna refocus that for you. So there's a big gear that goes up on here. There we go. And the axle. And then the idler one for the other wheels. And then this one will go with the pin that holds everything together. So we'll put that back together in a second. So with the gearbox together, I'm gonna guide it back to where it goes. Just put it in the general area. That will be fine. I'm going to put my two pickups. They have a groove where they go in. And of course, with N scale, you need to develop patience. So I'm going to keep working on this off camera. Well, it wasn't easy, but I got them back in. I put the wheels back on just so they wouldn't pop out again. And now, don't forget this little gear. This little gear will go in here, just like that. And then you can put your push pin back in. And then the push pin, I'm going to put some lubrication on it before I put it in. I don't need a ton, but I do need a little bit. Just make sure it's clean before I put it back. So one drop is all you need. I can slide this back in here. Now before I do, I want to put my side frames actually. So let's do that now. So before I put my side frames back on, I'm going to want to get my wheels on there. So this job should have been just cleaning the wheels and putting them back on. Maybe a little lubrication, because the engine wasn't that dirty. Just needed maybe a little love, TLC. But so my wheels are from a GP38-2 from Lifelike. They're not the same color, but the engine will run. That's what's important. Here we go. Then I can wiggle my side frames back on. So I do the exact same thing. And then I can put them into position. Put them exactly where they need to go. And then put my gear in the correct place. And then bring that back up. Put my axle / retainer clip. Here's a little tip for you. Sometimes the gear doesn't line up properly. And then all you need to do is play with the gears a little bit. That will help it to line up. It will move the little gear inside. So, oh yeah, my wires are getting in the way, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to manage the wires. So I can just pull them back into that hole. So they get out of the way of the gearing. Pull them back in. And then it'll be hidden under the gas tank. Same for this little one here. We'll put it back into the hole and we'll hide it so it doesn't bother the drive shaft. So obviously you can't pull too hard on these, but just enough to get them out of the way. And then they'll be hidden by the gas tank. There is a little worm gear hidden underneath this cover. So that probably has some really nice brass bushings. So that cover, you want to get under there very gently, as always. Small pins holding it together. So there you go. So that's going to take just a little bit of lubrication. It's not bad, this locomotive. It probably hasn't run much due to the fact that it's not really that nice. But we'll try to optimize that as much as possible. So I'm going to do the exact same thing for the other side. Clean the wheels and clean the trucks and lubricate everything. I'll do that off camera. So the front truck was much easier. There was no soldering needed. Now I'm going to put everything back together. I'm going to go try it on the track. A little tip, you need the counterweights. Otherwise the engine's not heavy enough and it's sort of just going to spin there. So I'm going to put my weights back on. And then we'll go take a look at if it runs okay now. Well, it's gonna run, but it's nothing close to even being acceptable. It's much better now, probably because of the contact strip that was unwelded. That makes a big difference in cleaning the wheels too. So I'm gonna put the shell back on. I probably won't be able to do anything better than that. Now all that's left to do is put the shell back on. These don't fit as nice as the Atlas or the Cardo. And then don't forget the roof. And now it's time to run some trains. Well, I got it to work. I hope this video was useful to you. See you soon.